Welcome to Rhymes Corner, where I sit here in my corner and talk to you about stuff. To begin with, I wanted to tell you guys about what's been going on in my life recently. If you do follow my accounts, you'll know that I was in the hospital recently because of what they call a spontaneous pneumothorax, or a collapsed lung. This is something that apparently happens to people in my physical demographic, so people who are naturally tall and thin. It happened when I was on a bus ride, actually, a 13-hour bus ride, back from where my girlfriend Martina lives, coming home. So I sat on the bus with a collapsed lung for 6 hours. The guys took me right to the emergency room and they did a chest tube right away. It was awful. Basically, they fixed my lung and everything. It refilled with air. They sent me home. Then about 5 days later, maybe a week, it happened again. And I knew that it was going to happen again because there's a 50% chance after the first time it happens that it will happen again. Honor was kind enough to drive me to the emergency room and spent so long there with me, and we were the happiest people in the ER because we're talking and laughing. Anyway, basically what happened was they said that I would need to do a surgery. When they went in there, they couldn't find a leak anywhere. So they took out slivers of my lung where the leak usually would be and stitched it up. And then they roughened the inside of my chest cavity wall so that the scar tissue would heal my lung to the inside of my chest. That way it won't happen again. Hopefully it won't happen on the left side. You know, they haven't really said anything about if that's likely. Anyway, I'm doing pretty well, recovering. It's been about 2 weeks out from the surgery. I had to drop all of my classes. It was my last semester of school. I had to drop all of that. Had to drop any internship opportunities that I had. Couldn't reapply for my job. All of that aside, today's topic of the video is cosplay and popularity. So what is cosplay popularity? What is cosplay fame? Some people would identify cosplay fame as people who get paid to cosplay, which is something you really don't hear about very often. Some people would say that it's if you have over a certain number of likes or follows on, you know, whatever account you use, Instagram, YouTube, etc. People also consider it if you get invited to go to cons to do panels, if people know your name, if you're the best cosplayer of a certain character. The cosplay community is supposed to be full of support, but a lot of people have come to me asking, how do I get more views? How do I get more likes? How do I become cosplay famous? And I always get kind of weirded out by that question because I never got into this hobby even thinking about it. But when I started cosplaying, I was 16 years old and the internet was not a huge deal and no one had smartphones. I mean, like, I'm getting kind of old, guys. Making videos and getting likes and views was not even something that I considered back then. It was just, oh man, skill. This weekend I can borrow my mom's video camera, which recorded on cassette tape, by the way. So I guess the whole concept of cosplay fame is just something that kind of goes over my head. People, I've noticed, tend to really, like, worship cosplay famous people. And people are like that with regular celebrities. But in our day and age, it's a lot easier to become a celebrity just by doing your own thing and posting it online. And people are using that as a way to, it's like self-validation or something, where they want to feel good about themselves. That's not a bad thing, honestly. It's always more important to be true to yourself than to get a whole bunch of views and likes and see how many people liked your cosplay or something. That's not the end goal here. It's to enjoy yourself. When you're famous, people have really high expectations for you, but they also have really high criticism. If you become cosplay famous, you're going to get a lot of feedback, and it's going to be a mixture of good and bad. I've had my share of hate, and honestly, it just makes me laugh most of the time because it's pretty great. You get some ridiculous comments. Why do people want to be cosplay famous? I think a lot of it has to do with our technology. We have our smartphones right in our hands. Being recognized by people and people saying you're good, it feels good. It feels really good to have people comment on your stuff and like your things that you do, and to feel proud of yourself. Of course you want to believe in yourself, but some people feel like they need to cater to an audience. One thing that really bothers me about the cosplay community in this day and age is that people will post on Instagram and their cosplay accounts or whatever, and they'll always be apologizing for not cos-testing enough things or not cosplaying enough, being like, sorry guys, I don't have any new content. Like, it's your life, you know? You're not required to be making content for people to watch. You're not being paid for this necessarily, you know? It just seems kind of like a waste of time to be apologizing to people for not putting out enough videos. I know people are, you know, annoyed with Cup of Squirrel and all that because we don't put out enough videos. But honestly, that's not the end goal here. And as much as I loved making cosplay videos like every week, you know, it's not possible. And I feel no responsibility to apologize to people for posting whatever I want on my Instagram or my YouTube. They're my channels. I post things about my life. I don't just post cosplay things because that's what people want to see. You don't owe anyone anything. In the cosplay community, there's also a lot of envy. And even I myself have dealt with that, where you see someone who has like the perfect nose to be Jared Padalecki or something, I don't know. It's where someone has like really good facial features or body structure to be a certain character, or, you know, maybe their skills are way better than yours. And instead of feeling inspired, people tend to feel envious. And I think we need to really turn that around instead of everyone just wanting to be somebody else. Instead of being discouraged by the people that you looked up to, you should try and be inspired by them instead. I look at filmmakers that I really respect and I'm like, man, I wish I made that movie. Or I listen to a song, I'm like, I wish I wrote that song. But you know what? I didn't. I should just enjoy it, and when I make my own stuff, maybe there will be bits and pieces of that in there, because those things become bits and pieces of yourself. When you're seeing cosplayers on Instagram especially, it's really easy for people to only include the very best pictures of themselves. Of course you're gonna include only the very best pictures. Man, everyone has bad angles in their selfies. I have some terrible angles. But what you're seeing is a modified version of what people want you to see. Overall, just be true to yourself. Try not to get too discouraged by people who are cosplay famous. And if you are someone who is becoming more cosplay famous and all that, just try not to let it get to your head or affect who you are and how you make things and what you make. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you guys will tune in next time for another Rhymes Corner. I have plenty of things to talk about in relation to life in general and cosplay. And try to make sure your lungs don't collapse for no reason. The second time it happened, I was eating breakfast. I think I was eating waffles. If you guys have any questions, or if you want to see something specifically with Rhymes Corner, you know, something that you think would be helpful to other people or helpful to you, feel free to say so in the comments, and I might have something to say about it. So, thanks for watching. Bye!